So imagine this, you've arrived late to the dock after the all aboard time and the ship has left you in port. What happens now? It's a scenario you never want to be a part of, but unfortunately it's a possibility. So let's find out what happens if you miss the boat. Let's start off by going over what happens on the ship. Before the ship has left the port and just after the all aboard time, your name will be called over the PA system. Mistakes happen like a glitch in the system, and for some reason your name might have not been ticked off. The PA message will tell you to contact guest services or security via the phones or at guest services itself. You can get into trouble if you deliberately ignore the call, so just answer it. After a bit of time, and if you haven't answered, security will take the next step and will come to your room. After all, you could be taking a nap and you didn't hear the call. If you don't answer, they can enter your room as this will be considered an emergency. If you're not there, they will then take your identification or passport if they can locate it easy enough. As bad as it sounds, make sure to put your passports in the safe at the start of your cruise, as they will have a master code to enter it. If they can't find it, it will make things a lot harder later on. From there, your passport or ID will be passed on to the port agent. Suddenly you've turned up, but the ship is gone, and meeting you at the port is the port agent. The port agent will help you with what your next steps are, such as getting to the next port or to your disembarkation port, depending if the ship will permit you back or not. The same goes with arranging hotels, but this will be at your own cost. Unless you are on a ship-sponsored excursion, but the ship will only leave these people if it has absolutely no choice but to leave. Depending on your location, this may be easy or extremely hard, as some people found out on a Norwegian cruise. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to know all about that. Now for your luggage. After all, it's still on the ship. It'll either be waiting for you on the ship when you get back to the next port, or you'll have to make arrangements to pick it up when the ship gets to the disembarkation port. Once again, at your cost if it has to get delivered to you. As for how long the port agent will wait for you before they will even give up, I actually couldn't find an answer, so if you know, leave us a comment. So why would the ship leave without you? There are a few reasons as to why that would be. The ship can be fined thousands of dollars by the ports if it hasn't left by a certain time. There's also the weather. If they can avoid bad weather that's coming in, they will do that. Tides can make a difference for the ship to get in and out of a harbour. If the ship misses a tide, it could be hours before they can leave. Then there's time constraints for getting into another port. If they don't leave, they might be late for the next port, and there could be fines if they are late. If the ship has to go faster to get to the next port, it will also use more fuel, which costs the ships money. Obviously, you don't want this to happen. No one does, so here's a few tips to help. Make sure you know what the all aboard time is. It's usually half an hour before the ship leaves port, but in some cases it can actually vary by a few hours to when the ship leaves. Make sure you're operating on ship time, not the local time of the port. Local time and ship time can be different. Also remember that the all aboard time is on ship time. Your phone and watch might sync up automatically with the local time if you're using roaming or Wi-Fi. Make sure that it doesn't automatically do this, otherwise you'll be running on the wrong time. Make sure you have a way of contacting the ship. This information will be available in the cruise's daily planner for that day or on the app. That way you can contact the ship if you're running late, and they might wait for you, but this is far from a guarantee. You'll also need a way to contact the port agent if you can't get in contact with the ship. That information will be in the same place as to where to contact the ship. If you have travel insurance, it will help with the cost of everything, provided it's part of your cover. That way there will be no or little out-of-pocket costs for you. Make sure you have some way of paying for things like money or a credit card. If you don't want to risk being late to the ship and want to take a shore excursion, watch this video here for everything that you need to know.